Confucius would say, let's listen to all powerful fellow nations. Confucius say, up there it's going me. Just like the wedding bells ringing in the month of blue. Oh, Confucius say, it's really up to sky. Now that boy never say goodnight, he say goodbye. And yeah, love's the very funny thing. And yeah, it makes you wanna dance and stay. Confucius says when love comes, don't you delay. So honey, hold me tight. There's a nice tonight. And remember that it's Confucius say. So Confucius say a girl with a baby star can see through a rich man's pocketbook, so do that. Confucius say a fair sample pass a little laugh. Confucius say, no, hold on, let's go down, no, come on. Confucius flag comes, don't delay. So honey, hold me tight, just like you know. And remember what my friend Confucius said.
If you want to continue your research, you can watch our documentary on the prehistoric megastructures of Japan, including the large Kofun tombs which are still not excavated. The link is in the top pinned comment.
Some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for your commitment.
Welcome to Song of God.
And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it.
Tas ir
4,5 un 11,5.
tieši tā. Pirmās Biatlona sacensības notika 1767. gadā Norvēģijas un Zviedru robežas starpā. Iedomājies, sākās un sadomāja cīkstoties. Un jāmēr, tas ir tieši tāds, kā tu pat to nosauci. Tev ir 3 punkti.
Because today We are not merely transferring power from one administration
Viedierīts
to
spēlē
another,
kopā ar jums,
but
tūlīt
we
būs
are
vēl viens uzdevums,
transferring
kurā
power
varēsiet tās
from Washington,
izmantot,
D.C.
jums būs
and
nepieciešama
giving
tā
it back to you,
raksturošana.
the
Bet šajā
people.
Nākamajā jautājumā jūs nevarat izmantot viedierīces, tāpēc noliekam
For
lūdzu
too long,
viens
a
zīmoļus
small
nost
group in our
un
nation's
rokas
capital
uz
has
augšējās
reaped the
pogas.
rewards of government,
Kur tūlīt
while
būs
the
jāsauc, jo jānosauc
people
ir planēta.
have borne
Līdz
the
ar to uzreiz
cost.
variants sašaurinās. Jānosauc
Washington
planēta, kur
flourished,
šīs planētas
but
brīvās
the
krišanas
people
pātrinājums
did
ir
not
aptuveni
share
2,5
in its
reizes
wealth.
lielāks nekā uz Zemes.
This
Tās
American
vidējais dienas
carnage
garums ir tikai 10
stops
stundas,
right
padarot to par
here
ātrāko rotējošo
and
planētu
stops
Saules sistēmā.
right now.
Vai tas ir nekots?
The forgotten men and women of our
Šai planētai
country
ir
will be
spēcīgākais
forgotten
magnētiskais lauks
no
Saules
longer.
sistēmā. Agata?
From this day forward,
Vai
a
tā
new
ir
vision
Tā
will
nav
govern our land.
Tā ir gāzes
From
gigants,
this
kas
day
sastāv galvenokārt no
forward,
ūdeņraža un
it's
hēlija,
going
un
to
tai nav
be
cietas
only America first.
Jā, Laura.
This is a president of the United
Tas nav
States
Neptūns.
who is a danger
Nu,
to the
Miķel, tu droši
Republic.
vari
America
paklausīties,
first.
Apkārt šai planētai riņķo vismaz
The oath of
79
office
pavadoņi,
I take
ieskaitot
today
lielākos
is an oath
Ganimēdu,
of
Kalisto,
allegiance
Eiropu un
to all
Jopu.
Americans.
Planēta ir tik liela, ka tās masa ir apmēram
America will
318
never
reizes
be
lielāka
a
nekā Zemes
socialist
masa.
country.
Šī ir lielākā planēta Saules
I will
sistēmā.
fight for you
Tā ir.
with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Nu, lūk, un tagad jautājums.
And I will
Ko
never,
sagatavojas mūsu draugs
ever
pasaules ceļotājs,
let you
pilskolotājs
down.
Mārtiņš Sils, viņam līdzi arī draugs Arvīds Barānovs, un jūs nosēs telefonu, lai pierakstītu to, ko viņi vēlēsies zināt.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade
Šo
Center. There's
jautājumu
never been an
skatāmies,
attack like
un
this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using cover to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again.
You know what it's about? Fraud.
Fake rally. We will make America wealthy again.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy is President Beard of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again.
Millions and millions of ballots.
Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. We are right about the fraud. Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress chaired Thursday joint session as well.
Nigērijas naudas kurs pret eiro, tur, kur mēs šodien pie viņa šādi samainījām, bija 1700 nigēriešu naudiņas par 1 eiro.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. As always, I am joined by Chris Hall from an undisclosed location. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. All my
Atbildi, tu tad pieļauj, ka jautājums būtu,
weird to disclose my
cik
location.
eiro viņiem tur ir tajā naudā, ja? Skatāmies atbildi.
Tātad,
Oh no, I'm in the same one as the different.
kāda ir pareizā atbilde? Cik mums vajadzēja eiro, lai mēs tiktu pie šādas čups ar naudu?
Oh, well, the headphones
eiro.
thing's weird.
Precīzi. Sveicies no Āfrikas.
Lūk, Miķel, tev no Āfrikas 3 punkti.
It's not there. But that's like
Es esmu kādreiz bijušas Āfrikā.
sound.
Nē, diemžēl. Jūs gribētos aiziet? Jā.
I think it was gonna be a shot, but I forget
Pēdējais
how
uzdevums šajā kārtā jums jānosauc komponists vārds un uzvārds.
I have so many.
Mēs sāksim ar skaņdarbu fragmentu klausīšanos no Latvijas radio arhīviem un var jau būt, ka ar to arī pilnīgi pierakstīt. Aiziet, klausāmies.
I'm actually so I you know talk about my sounds, but I have like
improved blood vessel function by 47%.
Es domāju,
If
ka
you need the real
arī
sample
tādi atbalstītāji ir tev sarūpējuši, kā šīs, kurā tu esi attēlota kā sniegavīgs un mums pavisam noteikti ir jāapskatās, kā tā tapa.
Let's try and count this.
Ko tu zīmē? Es zīmēšu.
I do have it in front of me. Be a great gift. Yeah, really cool. If you drink it just without mixing with coffee, it doesn't taste like chocolate, I would say. It tastes a little more earthy. It's the natural. It's due, but it's with coffee.
Yeah, it's a beautiful package. Not like my job, but beautiful nonetheless. I was also delivered to that note, like in my sick. I don't feel even this sick, but I have like this frog in my throat. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not so. It sounds like this.
Maybe it's something with the place.
Could be. I mean, I don't know.
Visi pareizi. Nu, varbūt pietrūkst kādas neterismas, bet ir ok. Ko tu gribētu vēl pielikt klāt? Varbūt tu judo vai sportiņu, tikai tas tautais izcelt.
Okay, all right, we're gonna bring our guest on here shortly. But before we go, I want to preface this with saying
Paldies tev liels un sagaidām ārkārtīgi publikā.
other coverage this week of the Tyler Robinson. So typically we'll put that off. Brian, how you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing?
Wait, why did you say he's definitely dead?
Because he admitted that he was
He doesn't.
Paskatīsimies, kā tava kārtība.
He's got the long hair. He's got a deep voice. If you look at that picture, that's on that onesie picture that they blasted us. It looks like a normal
Ko tu zīmēsi?
So, Brian, I feel like you probably have better.
Super, nākamais. Kāds ir tavs uzdevums? Es zīmēšu
Yeah, I streamed the entire Yeah, I went into it. Obviously, I might
Bez tās nevar iztikt, jā.
what took place in that.
Dodamies uz
I had my
jūru!
own emotions. I went in there and checked.
Nu, Laura, kas tev ir sakāms par sniega
And I
vīru?
came away with
Ļoti jauki izstāsts, ļoti labi.
there's a lot of evidence that they put forward, and they took one little segment of evidence. and
Paldies
just
taviem
ran
atbalstītājiem par šo, un atbalstītāji var
Like in
sagaidīt
the,
Lauru.
in the long run, they don't have anything placing him on that rooftop. There's nothing placing him on that rooftop.
Other than that one video that claims him, right?
Well, no. Yeah, that video they claim is him, but like the only video that we saw of Tyler Robinson on the campus is the video that we've seen for the last year, right? In just different forms. You get him in shorts going down the stairwell through the parking garage, the car driving in, and allegedly his car, by the way, allegedly his car driving in. Then he changes clothes. He comes back 3 hours later and walks in with jeans, and this is when he has the rifle in his pants. And, I mean, the investigator testified on the stand. How do you know that's Tyler Robinson? That's it? His shoes?
Glenn, what was your preconceived notion going into this? Like, can you kind of tell what you thought was
Of course, you're out.
The only piece of evidence that always told me that this was not Tyler Robinson allegedly from the rooftop
.6 priority. And I cannot do it. And that is the one thing. I mean, I've shot rifles my entire life. I've actually shot people, much smaller rifles, and I've seen the damage that you do. 30.6 is going to be more damage than a lot of people. Well, I shot a deep rifle. Yeah, it's also probably 20 inches
Well, that's good. And then so going into it, the coverages we got away paid much attention to it, but I was thinking that it doesn't seem like really anybody who went like this. I think Candace on one side versus the Team USA on the other side. I didn't see anybody change for it. So it really comes down to the video, especially the last videos. This video that like Jack was showing, what did you see from both sides? What did you see now that you've seen the 5 days? And you can talk about the stuff.
Sure, so I streamed going back to day 2, there was the 12, it's called Exhibit 12.1. Showed this to people saw it. Rooftop. It's a compilation of rooftop, stairwells, pulling into the parking garage, all of that piled into one video. Then there was another video that was 12.1, Exhibit 12.1. And this was, they called it an enhanced video. And by their own definition, John, I sent you the video where they define an enhanced means in television. It's 3 minutes. No, I don't have it. But I can explain to you. I mean, I can give you timestamp. It's on day 2, 14 minutes. So they define the enhanced video as they remove the red circles. If it was in the stairwell, they had innocent bystanders that had blurs on their face. They removed the blurs from their face. And on the rooftop, they zoomed in on the rooftop. That is the extent of the enhanced video that they could not show the people on day 2 or on day 5. Now, so they show it on day 2, they show it to the judge. Fast forward to day 4, and at the very end of day 4, they bring up a motion calling for the public to be able to see Exhibit 12.1. And they're like, we know it's redundant and that we already showed 12.4, but we think it's important that people can see 12.1 and see the shot being fired and all of this stuff. And the judge is like, yes, we'll do it on day 5 tomorrow. So day 5 rolls around. And there was the whole controversy about the letter that got leaked, right? The letter that flashed up on the screen for 2 seconds, and they got the screenshot of the letter. And so that letter changed everything in the court case today, or yesterday, excuse me. The judge went from, we're going to show 12.1, we're going to show all the exhibits, to we can no longer show the exhibits because this is now the second time that the state has leaked something that they weren't supposed to show. So we can no longer show the exhibits, and that includes 12.1. So we're no longer going to show 12.1 to the people, we're only going to show it to the people in the courtroom. And that was the enhanced video.
And again, it was the state that leaked stuff that caused them to no longer be able to show things outside the court?
Yes, but to be perfectly fair, and again, this is why, I'm trying to handle this objectively. The defense was actually the one that motioned for the censorship of all these exhibits. So if the state leaked it, the defense is the one that motioned. And the defense this whole time has been the one that wanted to keep this out of the media. And I think after the op you saw today, following that video that everybody got to see yesterday, I think you can see why the defense wanted all of these kept out of the media, which I don't agree with.
A defense attorney is going to want evidence limited, period, because their job is not to leave the audience at home. Their job is to make sure that their client is protected to the best they can.
was like, oh yeah, all these people are saying this. It's the same video. In fact, Ash, I think they showed this video on day 2. I think they showed it. So I went back and looked, and I was like, oh crap, they didn't show it to the public. They only showed it to the judge and the witness that was on the stand, the guy that's on the screen right now, David Knoll. And so I was like, oh crap, they didn't show it to him. But then out of the corner of my eye, and I don't know how I didn't catch this earlier, you could see the state attorney's computer with the video, the enhanced video they were showing the judge playing on it. And so you could see this video that we're not allowed to see, right? The video that was like, oh my god, it's the toughest thing I ever saw. And you could see it on the attorney's screen, and it's not at all what these mainstream influencers were telling us it was, at all.
Well, let me play this video. And which one is this now? This is Tuesday?
Yeah, so this is Tuesday, and this is kind of laying the baseline of what Exhibit 12.1 is, because a lot of people have been telling me the video on day 2 is different than the video on day 5. No, it's not. It's the same exact video. They just showed it only to the judge on day 2, and they motioned on day 4 to show it to everyone.
Let's return again to what's been marked State's Exhibit 12.1. Again, we've reviewed that video.
Yes.
And the difference between 12.1, or what's been marked State's Exhibit 12.1, and 12.4 are, if I understand you correctly, are these enhancements that we've been talking about.
Yes.
And specifically, what be specific about the enhancements, and let's go one at a time. I think there's a reference to either red circles or red highlights. Correct. That's how Mr. Olson described it, red highlights.
Yes.
Do you know what he's, what is he referencing by the red highlights, or what do you believe he's referencing?
I believe he's referring to red ovals or circles that were placed over the image to identify specific individuals of note.
And these red circles are they permanent red circles, temporary?
I don't know. I would assume they're temporary. I'm not very technological, but I believe they would be overlaid over the image.
And that is a bad question. What I mean by that is do they appear and disappear quickly, or do they linger or last for a period of time?
They live for a period, but I believe they come off video.
All right. And other than, well, and you said that the circles, what do the circles do?
They identify an area or a person of interest within the video.
And other than do that, the circles or the highlights, do they do anything with regards to the video itself, as far as its accuracy?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I think the next enhancement that has been mentioned, that we talked about, is there's some blurring.
Yes.
Do you know what that? Tell us what that is. What blurring do you see in the state that's been marked as State's Exhibit 12.1 that you now don't see in 12.4?
If I recall, there were some individuals in the parking garage footage, and their faces were blurred.
Anything other than faces being blurred?
I recall not.
And how often do you see the blurring throughout the video?
I believe it's just in the original sequence in the parking garage.
The other than the blurring, does the blurring, other than obviously blur out part of the image, does it change or impact the accuracy in your mind of that part of the compilation video?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And then the last thing is, I believe, is there's some zooming in and zooming out. It's in 12.1. It's been removed.
Yes.
12.4. What can you tell us about the zooming in and the zooming out?
Predominantly, it's an area that was referred to as viewing the Losi building rooftop. I believe it focuses on the area where Mr. Robinson comes up the stairs and onto the rooftop. Those portions of that particular footage were zoomed in for clarity.
Other than zooming in and zooming out, does at least that enhancement to the video, does it change the content of the video?
No.
The accuracy of the video in your mind?
No. Okay, So this is just discussing the video, like zooming in, the circles on it, the red dots, the decoded video, essentially.
Yeah, it's mainly to show people, because one of the biggest pushbacks I've gotten on my post so far is that that's not the video they showed on day 5. It's exactly the video they showed on day 5. The exhibit was titled 12.1. The judge announced it before he played the video for the court. They pointed the camera up at the Great Seal of Utah for 10 minutes, not 20 minutes like Benny Johnson said, for 10 minutes while the video played. And that right there was the special agent for the State Bureau of Investigation in charge of the investigation that is outlining what the enhancements were. No red circles, no blurs on the faces, and they zoomed in on the low signal. And that was it. That was it.
So this next video, should I play that?
I don't think you need to play that. I don't think you need to. I mean, if you want to play like maybe a minute of the section where I show the day 2 when they're actually showing, where you can see the computer screen. So you get, and again, it is showing a recording of a computer screen of a camera. So there is a lot of compression. It's going to be, a graded video. But my point is that this is not anything. The FBI had this exact video where we zoomed in quality, zooming of this video back in September of 2025. Okay.
I think what I want to do first is play Jack Posobiec's video and Benny Johnson's, because ultimately the whole reason I really don't care about this trial, and I couldn't get into it this week. As I said, I'm watching like the social media influencing about the psyops going on around it, and this is a definite psyop. They are trying to influence the outcome of this trial. There's no, everybody's the right to a fair trial, right? And whether Tyler Robinson is guilty or not, that is supposed to be determined in the trial. And I don't know if you can say that he's going to get a fair trial with what's going on here, with what Poso is doing, and of what Benny Johnson is doing.
Doesn't it say something strange about this whole sort of affair that people supposedly closest to arbitrary ones running this board is messing up about this ridiculous video?
It does say something. The whole thing is weird.
The whole thing has been a mess and a bombshell since the first moment. And
one thing I did do today is I went through a whole bunch of Jack Posobiec's timeline. Just looking this up, like he was covering the Derek Chauvin trial, like he was all in on the media bias. He'll never get a fair trial here because of what the politicians in Minnesota have said about it. It was just funny because J.D. Vance came out and was like, Tyler Robinson is super guilty. Jack Posobiec had this post back in 2021. Innocent before proven guilty is bullshit for any case the media gets involved in. It's been that way for years. And here he is doing the same exact thing.
I would say not about some positive point. The question is, thing that I just have to say that
Tas arī šajā vakarā viss. Turpinājumā mums kāds muzikāls pārsteigums no grupas Trijānas Parks un viņu dziesma Labirintā.
Okay, so to be fair, while I think that is very dramatic, and I can look, that was his friend, so I get that. There's a lot of emotion behind it. He actually was not off on his description of it, right? The Benny Johnson one is the one that's off. The Benny Johnson one he wasn't too far off on it, and then we can get into the table.
Okay, well, let me find the Benny Johnson one. I had to show more Benny Johnson clips the last 3 days. I don't think he's had that in a while.
Well, it's okay.
We're outside of the Search Warehouse here in Charlie Kirk. The preliminary murder trial is wrapped. He's there, witnessed everything, and perhaps hear this because it was devastating what we watched. And the judge ruled that you can't see high definition quality video 4K of Tyler Robinson committing murder of Charlie Kirk. But we saw it was replayed on a giant screen.
There is no high quality, high definition 4K video of Tyler Robinson committing murder of Charlie Kirk. Period. There is that was my that statement right there from Benny Johnson is categorically false. Even if that video is in 4K, it's just zoomed in. You can see from the video that we have it's still pixelated. It's still crap quality. He's still a little black speck. There's no possible way you can even tell it's hair color, nonetheless whether it's a man or a woman.
You know what that makes me think of, Brian, is how Trump keeps tweeting out that he has Space Force satellites that can see like your fingerprints from space or whatever.
That's so funny.
I wonder if that's gonna come. So wait, let me just make sure that I'm understanding. The video of the little speck running across the top of the building that has been out on the internet for 10 months, they have the high-def version of that. That is the evidence that we are told is the damning evidence. Is that correct?
It's not the high-def version. We've already seen the zoomed-in version of him running from the building James off. The only difference now is we have the video of him even further away by quite a bit, right? Because the corner of the building where he jumps down is the exact opposite corner where he's alleged to take the shot. So it's even further away, more disturbances in the way, and that zoomed in, and we have that photo now.
And it does not contain his face.
Not at all. Not even. Dude, you couldn't even tell if it was an ant or a person. If it was an ant or a person.
So, in addition to the lack of conclusive evidence in this video, we also have to concern ourselves with the provenance of the video, why the video was never made public when all the others were for these 10 months, and then any number of other variables concerning the validity and truthfulness and, the custody and everything else about this piece of evidence, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Not to mention these psyops right here that these people are pushing.
Right.
Along with that.
In coordinated fashion, using the same phrase that's been going on all week.
Let me play should I play the rest of this, Brian? Can you do that?
Yeah, because I think Ashes in the chat, I really want to piss her off with Christianity for a speedy trial.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Inside Slim House, you can see clearly Tyler Robinson's face. You can see crystal clearly the license plate number on his vehicle, his movements on the rooftop. You can time it up to when Charlie Kirk was murdered. And what you also couldn't see was what happened inside the courthouse. Erica Kirk was sobbing in the arms of her mother-in-law, Charlie's mother. Mrs. Kirk, feet away is Tyler Robinson, pale, sallow, bony, emaciated, staring at the whole time, twitching and looking straight ahead, refuses to watch the video, refuses to make eye contact with the man. Emotional day. The judge played all 20 minutes on the high-definition security footage, and the whole courthouse gasped. It was It's really tough to watch. The prosecution has a demonstrable, overwhelming case. They said that multiple times. The defense has nothing. They asked minutiae questions about DNA evidence, but the judge was just shooing them along as we get this 4K video reveal that will eventually be made public. It's already a case that's overwhelming against Tyler Robinson, but once you see this video, you will cast out all of the demons that have been attacking Kirk Vanderhook. It has been one of the most grotesque demonic evils that have been visited upon innocent people happen to this beautiful family. Once you see all of the evidence that we saw today, it's over, and that's what the lawyers said. Please pray. Eric Kirk asked us to do this. Pray for a speedy trial. We have a right to a speedy trial here in our Constitution. We don't have to wait years in order to get to the trial phase here. We want justice to be done. Justice has to be done in this case, and done immediately. So please pray for Kirks. They've been through enough. Times for justice for the widow. Just a word to all Christians out there. The Bible calls us, the Old Testament, the New Testament, defend the widow, defend the orphan, to provide for her, and to stand up. To be a Christian today, be upright. Please pray for justice in this case. We're outside the court this week.
Until they start like quoting the Bible as saying like the Bible calls you to defend Kirk specifically by that.
So a couple things you got wrong there. The video's only 10 minutes. It's not 20 minutes. When they played it in the courtroom, the cameras were still rolling. They just zoomed up at the seal, and you can time when they started to when they came back in session, and it was 10 minutes, not 20 minutes. He said that twice now. Where that's coming from. The license plate thing is interesting. I would like to see that because there's a bunch of photos online of the car in the parking garage and the car that was impounded from his house, and the front splitter in the car is totally different. It's a much different splitter. Now, again, I don't know whether that's one thing or the other, but the point is the video of him shooting is not at all what he described. It's not high def, it's not 4K, it's not up close, it's not something that you see. I don't even know if you'd be able to see the smoke from the rifle. You know, there's people saying you can see the muzzle flash. No way in broad daylight could you see the muzzle flash from a rifle, from a camera 400 yards away, zoomed in and all pixelated. Now, to further the op at the end of the video that I put out, I called out somebody. If you want to go to the very end of that video.
So we'll first tell us, this is the video we're seeing here, right? That they're claiming is the one that's...
the original. No, that's the original. Okay. So that is the one that we all have access to. That's the computer science building. It's the building right behind the Losi building. And that is the original that we were shown in court on day 2. It's exhibit 12.4. And if you go like maybe towards the middle of that click, you can see the computer screen that the woman has there.
Yep.
That is literally the top left quadrant, or excuse me, yeah, the top left quadrant of the first video, just zoomed in a little bit. Maybe like 2x.
Yeah, you can see the top of the building.
Yeah, and if you keep going, I actually make it bigger. There you go. So now this right here is, this is where he's allegedly laying in the prone. That's what they're looking at to tell that he's laying in the prone.
Okay.
And if you go one more step forward, when it changes, when the screen changes, maybe it is that one. Okay, so go, yeah, right there. Saw that run across. That's him running across. That's how clear it is.
Wait.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, wow.
That's the identified exhibit 12.1 that they showed everyone in court that the judge
So Pacific said a couple of things. He said that this is overwhelming evidence that means that this should go to trial. Now that's an entirely different standard than proving guilty beyond reasonable doubt, of course, but then he immediately mentioned reasonable doubt as well. And so, you know, I understand that for a lot of people who believe that the Patsy story is the story of a real killer, and that the stories about this relationship were all valid and important and suggestive of his guilt and all the rest. They've accepted the story that's been given to them from the authoritative sources and the official sources, and then repeated by acquaintances and friends of Charlie Kirk. So they have this story, they're already committed to that story, they probably argued about it online. When we get to this hearing this week, that Steve Bannon, as we discussed yesterday on Daily, has presented as like a public grand jury. We are meant to watch this thing and really try to focus in on what it is that we are being presented, and then determine for ourselves whether or not we believe this person should be put on trial for murder or assassination or whatever different charges they've handed out to him. And the standard of evidence we're using is a series of videos where you can't see this person's face, and there's not a single piece of evidence that would convince anybody who is just coming to this for the first time that they have definitely got their man. The only thing that convinces people of this is the confirmation bias of having already accepted the conclusion before, and now believing that your conclusion is confirmed because the evidence you already saw is being presented in front of an official body, and there's a coordinated mass marketing messaging campaign to support the conclusion you already have. That's what we're dealing with here. This is incredible.
And I think, Chris, the effort behind that is to push them into. I think we're going to see a plea deal offered here with the death penalty off the table, and I think they're trying to push him into taking that because, to be honest with you, and again, this is not a trial. I know for certain that this has risen to probable cause, and that's mainly because of Lance Twig's testimony, which they were not able to cross-examine. The text messages, which there's a lot of discrepancy about whether those are legit because of some issues like spacing in the text messages and stuff. Like text messages, the two bubbles are like touching, and on iPhones when you text like consecutively, there's a space between them. But if you look on their text message, they're clearly the bubbles are touching. And it's like, wait, no iPhone has touching bubbles in it.
Plus, he has his own name in his phone as Tyler.
No, that's in yeah, that's his phone. But so another thing that's interesting, like so in this testimony that Lance Twiggs is giving, and he's not able to be cross-examined, he says that him and Charlie rarely talk about politics. They never talk about Charlie Kirk. They never really talk about transgender and gay, LGBTQ things politically, but they did talk about from time to time Trump and policies that he was trying to implement. So how do you, like, this would be the first gay 20-something-year-old couple with maybe trans, maybe furry ties that is talking about Trump policies, but not LGBT. And Tyler Robinson was so weaponized that he said, I have a chance to take out Charlie Kirk, and I took him. But you never talk to your boyfriend about Charlie Kirk. Ever. Like, that was his word. You never talk about Charlie Kirk. So explain that to me. There was another really interesting thing. This is the first time I've actually, I'm going to say this publicly, got caught in the trial that I didn't realize until now. The ballistics expert that testified about the round they recovered from Charlie Kirk said that the bullet, they got the bullet that she had fragmented and had it support back, and she took a diameter reading of the base of the bullet and said that the base of the bullet was between, I'm going to fuck up the first number, but the second number, I'm just going to screw up the first number. I think she said it was .287. It was in a range of .287 to .301. Now here's the problem. A 30-06 round is .308. So a 30-06 round, the diameter of the base of that bullet is outside the scope of what ATF produced in that ballistic examination. So what's the implication of that? What's in the 30-06? I mean, the margin of error that she gives at .287 to .301 is supposed to account for any damage to the bottom of the ground. So
is that this clip? The bullets with the razors that were recovered?
No, that's the one where he's loading the casing with the trans brakes and all that. I don't have that.
Dude, isn't it crazy how you see all those pictures of like IVF soldiers having to show their missiles and whatnot? That's part. Isn't that part of the
well, I mean, I'm not. Again, I'm trying to stay objective here, so I'm not.
No, I know. I know. I followed this kind of passively over the last 10 years because you see it's just like a battle between two info just like the United States is involved. And so to then say, oh, it was Israel involved, the United States, oh, it was whoever, that's always insufficient because it's actually something much bigger than that. And, you know, that's, you don't go far enough if you say it was Israel. There's more to it than that. And the more to it is where we all need to begin to get, because they like it when you operate on these lower levels. You're not able to get to that level. And so what we've seen is two totally insufficient explanations at war over what happened when both of them are wrong. It's been so dumb this entire time. And I guess maybe hopefully it's coming to a head because it doesn't seem like all that many people are buying into this. But and of course that's the situation because all the money and all the coordinated messaging goes exactly in the opposite direction. And none of that would be required if what we were seeing was actually convincing on its own. These are all social incentives that people respond to. It's incredible.
Yeah, this entire thing boils down to this. Which tribe?
Yeah.
Are you with the Candace Owens and the Carolines? Are you with them? Are you with the Soviets and the Benny Johnson and Anthony Bartlett? Or are you with them? I've been called on both sides, right? Mainly on the Candace side because I'm questioning what they're doing from home. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with it.
But Brian, that's also because the conversation on Twitter, you have to be one or the other. They don't even understand that there are people who don't believe in that deal. Yeah.
Except Jerry's black though. It's like Team Cash, Team USA.
Like I called out, the ammunition, the ATF in question, they said, well, January 7th. Where are those other two right? And it's like, there's so many holes in this case that I don't know. And again, this was a prelim. There's a lot more evidence that could come out in a full-blown trial. Cross-examinations. They're going to cross-examine Tyler Lance Twiggs. They're going to cross-examine. They're going to get metadata on the confession note. Like, there's a ton more stuff that's going to come out. But there's fundamental things that you're like, this makes no sense. ATF got 4 fragments. There's 7. We were told Charlie Kirk did not have an exit wound. That means every fragment of that bullet should have been in Charlie Kirk's body.
They didn't find it all?
We don't have it all. And if we had it all, if we had it all, we could tell exactly the weight of the bullet. We would be able to take all those fragments, weigh them out, and be like, yep, this is a 150 grain bullet, which matches the other 4 Remington's 4-locked ammunition that was in his magazine. But we don't have it. It's gone.
I would suggest that there's not a single stable fact of this entire event. There's nothing you can actually say, but we know this for sure about the Charlie Kirk trauma, including even the most basic stuff. And that's a damn shame because it's an emotional issue for a lot of people. But the idea that you can parse this and get to reasonable doubt on the evidence that we've been shown online. Is there any evidence that people weren't already aware of from some story or some tweet or some post online, Brian? Were they showing stuff that people were like, wow, I've never seen this before?
I think the bullet fragments, the diameter of the bullets, the DNA and the STR mix being inconclusive. One thing that was really interesting, they had a phone call, or excuse me, phone data that tracked Charlie Kirk to this woman's, Tyler Robinson to this woman's house. And, they said that Tyler Robinson was within the vicinity in this woman's house at 12:30 on September 11th, so the day after midnight, essentially. And then they completely neglected to mention that the woman whose ring can't caught told the police in the statement it was a bald guy driving the car with 3 other people. In Tyler Robinson's in Tyler Robinson's car was a bald guy driving with 3 other people. But the investigator said his phone was in the vehicle. And so again, that's just another one of those WTF questions. I think they don't want this thing going to trial because I think there is a possibility that they can, and I think there's absolutely a possibility that they can prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, and they don't want that to happen because Because if this gets proven beyond a reasonable doubt, they're back at square one, and there's no accountability for Charlie Kirk's murder. And
even if it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that would mean Tyler Robinson.
If it doesn't get proven, excuse me, if it doesn't get proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and he's found innocent or found not guilty, then we're back at square one, and these people don't have accountability for the loss of their friend. And, you know, I'd say, well, you know, I know Charlie Kirk, when he was alive, he would want due process. He would want the Constitution upheld, the Sixth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. He would want everybody's rights upheld in a fair trial. And he would want justice for anybody that did something like this. And the fact that people are saying, this guy's so guilty that as a Christian you have to prosecute him now. Speedy trial, do it now, is insane. Because that's the exact opposite of what we should stand for in this country.
So, 5-6 years ago, we had the mirrored version of this, which I found recorded the George Floyd, and the Derek Chauvin trial was a farce. That entire thing was a farce. The cases are actually very similar. The total lack of stable facts about abstinence. And what we had at the end of that trial, I think there was like a pink-haired chick who, wasn't there something about the jury, the tainted juror at the end of the Derek Chauvin trial? She was like some pink-haired girl that was like responsible for being the final voice in the verdict. Again, total farce, and we don't have to try to pick that apart. But these things are mirrors. We're dealing with the same thing all over. And these people, again, were at the forefront of pushing the controlled opposition reverse version of the George Floyd and Chauvin thing. It's the same people running the same info off every damn time, which is like why it's so annoying to still have to battle through that last layer of being like, no, these people are allies this time. No, they're not. These people are hoodwink people.
Same people too that were participating in the Bidergate op, right? And like, what did everybody think of that? And then now they're on the same side of the argument here. It's all so stupid. They're all hypocrites. It's just annoying.
They're also heavily promoted. They're also heavily promoted on X, formerly Twitter, and they're doing all the widespread breaking news posts whenever we get new war stories.
We have tonight with more crime and administrative news stories once again for the 600 times.
Sorry, Brian, I can tell.
No, so I was going to say, I think maybe now I can take, I wear this, I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit for this one because I think this was me. If you pull my video back up, at the end of the video that I had, at the very end, maybe like the last like 10 seconds, yeah, right there. So I called out this, yeah, you but I want to show you guys what Officer Tatum, who saw the video, was in the courtroom, and this is the thumbnail for his YouTube video about what he saw, and tell me if you think that's an accurate representation. Tell me if that's an accurate representation. Tatum with this bewildered look on his face, horrifyingly sad, this zoomed in, I mean, I can see the rifle, I can see the bipods, I can see the hat, I can see everything. That is not at all what was presented in this video. That is a gross misrepresentation. Just thought you guys should know that. Follow me, rumble.com/KinCon. Wait, just finish it, come on. Badlandsmedia.tv. Badlands promised him.
And then he changed it, huh?
He changed it. He changed his thumbnail after, I don't know that this was because of what I said, but he changed his thumbnail to that. And that's much more accurate. That is much more accurate. What I saw, and then what I saw. And it's the guy running on the rooftop. A little blur, a pixel.
Well, that's interesting there, because I mean, you could look at that in a way, in the sense that that's like tacit confirmation that these people are misrepresenting the entire thing. And they're doing it deliberately, making it like, people are catching on or whatever. Probably, some of my audience finding out I'm a total fraud. You know what I mean? Do you view that as an admission that they're running a psyop here?
I don't know that it's an admission. I think it's an admission that they put something out there that's pure, utter propaganda and not in any way, shape, or form indicative of what they saw, and it was clickbait, and they got called out for posting clickbait. And that's what it was. It was clickbait. And, we saw, I think the Soviet came out and put a post up like, so you're telling me that Tyler Robinson just drove to Orem, Utah for Chick-fil-A and Dairy Queen? And it's like, there's a pivot. You went from he's definitely guilty to beyond a reasonable doubt to so he just drove there for Dairy Queen. Like, this is when you get in a fight. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's a pivot. And now I don't know if this was a result of this or not. Benny Johnson still got his stuff up. And I don't think Benny Johnson's going to be using any plan exposed anytime soon in his videos, which he's done many times and probably a lot. Truth, man. And that's what it boils down to. And, I had this conversation with Ash earlier today, and I'm going to look at this objective, and I'm not going to take sides on one side or the other. I'm just going to tell it how it is. And I might be wrong on some things. I mean, Alpha had some pretty intense debates off air. So if you guys think it's intense on air, we're more intense off air. And I'm standing my ground.
What's Alpha stand up? I mean, we could have him on sometime to give this piece, but he was supposed to be on Onlyline for us. Like, we backed out last minute. And I feel like it's because we're probably going to have this conversation.
It's probably like candidates.
Does he believe the official narrative? Which is fine. I know a lot of people do.
For the most part. He thinks he's 100% guilty. Well, I don't want to say 100%.
Imagine the standard of evidence to convict someone of murder if this counts. It's like you do not care about any of the principles, the foundational principles of our system of justice or natural law. You support that position, and I'm told that you used to be a cop.
Yeah, we should probably have this discussion with him.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I won't include him in this if we're going to do this because I think it's fair. Because I love Alpha. Yeah, he's another mother of another color. It's only fair that he had a voice in this. But we do disagree. My brother from another mother. He's Mexican too. Well, he's Mexican. He's American, but he's Mexican origin.
It's a foster children.
Yeah. So the boys brothers from another mother of another color.
Anyway. Well, Brian, we're probably going to say goodbye to you here unless there's anything else you want to say.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys letting me, because I've been getting a lot of stuff on X about this. It's good to get this out.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have your perspective on the conversation, because I can't imagine these people watch this second by second as you did. It's clearly not given over money and not with direct financial and social incentives powering your point of view.
Yes, I've made $0 from I did. I got a $100 Rumble rant on Friday for the stream. So I got like $80 from Rumble. So for 4 days of streaming, like 30 hours worth of streaming, I made like $80. So that is my plan.
So anyway, thanks, man. We'll catch up with you maybe next week. Well, I guess the trial catches if the judge allows us to go forward.
So no. The decision on whether there's probable cause or not is September 1st, and it will be permitted to submit briefs, like essentially closing arguments, and there will be a 4-hour, well, I think they said 4-hour hearing on September 1st, and I will stream that as well.
Sounds good, man. We'll catch you later.
So yes.
I think I want to get to our next sponsor real quick. And we'll hear our next 2 sponsors, and then we'll get into the second half of the show, which will probably be pretty election focused. Appreciate Brian joining us. And those who left rants and stuff, we'll get to those at the end. So we're going to do those rolling. Let's just start with a little bit of soft disclosure. Soft disclosure Soft disclosure. SoftDisclosure.com. The current promo code is Muffin Hit It. And if you guys go to SoftDisclosure.com and check out the reviews on the products, it will probably blow your mind. And I highly encourage you to do so. We also have an ad from Rumble Wallet. This is a paid ad from Rumble Wallet. And quick question, how much control do you have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. Crypto started as a niche, but now it's going mainstream with faster payments, more control, fewer middlemen. This isn't just hype, it's where things are going. And getting started today is easier than you think with Rumble Wallet. You can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stablecoins, even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. It's a non-custodial crypto wallet, which means you, not a bank or platform, control access to your funds. Setup is simple. Connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, credit card, or bank account up and running in minutes. You can even use your Rumble Wallet to support your favorite Rumble creators, like those to us here at Bad Boys, directly. So take control of your money now. Scan the QR code. Click the link in the description of this video. You can even go to wallet.rumble.com/DPH and get started with Rumble Wallet. Do you want to start with the EAC story, or should we get into some of those election stories maybe and then get into that?
So the New York Times one goes right into the EAC story, so maybe we can start there. And I think that'll lead us into the EAC.
So these are three separate stories, but they all kind of connect together. And I think I've gone over the EAC thing on my show, and I've gone over this New York Times story on my show. I haven't gone over the CNN one, except it just came out today, I believe. But there's a lot of concern, and I think this is very interesting leading into this upcoming election, because there's been talk about what Trump might do, and it's kind of this back and forth between both sides of like how they're going to approach the midterms. When the left is like, or the establishment is freaking out over Trump's potential options, one of them being against the midterms, it's notable because it gives me that vibe of like back when Trump was leaving office for the first time and Biden was coming in after J6 before the inauguration. Everybody's still freaking out and rushing. Nancy Pelosi was calling generals, don't let Trump do anything with the codes or whatever. We let the real Trump out of there, and they rushed to impeach him. They've always been worried about what Trump might do, and this is like another one of those instances where I think they're worried about what Trump has the authority and will try to do when it comes to the election stuff. So this story from July 2nd, in many ways, Trump is trying to tip the scales in the midterms.
John, before we start, just in the last couple of days, I'm sure that you've seen these headlines. I haven't really business or working with people. Just watch how it evolves. But they're talking about Trump wanting to lock down DC again, put up fences. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think so. Iran assassination situation.
Okay, and so these things will all tie together interesting. But we've heard claims like this in years past. Trump is going to threaten the elections. And so the fact that it's coming around again, I think is interesting. And just to kind of preview where my head's at for the audience, and I don't know if we talked about this before or not, but I posted about it on my Substack. You gotta wonder if they are trying to shut down, like to get the elections canceled, and then lay it at the feet of Trump as though he did it. And so, yeah, man. So by the time I think we're done with this hearing, that sounds really outlandish. And it sounds like the opposite of the thing I was saying a few days ago, which is that I thought I want the elections to be done because I think that brings us to some sort of resolution. And I thought that Trump was headed in that direction. Maybe he was only kind of hinting in that direction to bring the focus to this. I don't know, obviously.
Well, I think that's an interesting thought. We could get into it more later, but just my initial response to that is, if Trump does do something to fix our election, if that's a possible thing, like we don't know what he has up his sleeve, we don't know what's next, but let's say he does something, he interdicts, he has the National Guard there, which is one of the options they talk about, and like it's 1 day, paper only voter ID, all the stuff that we've always dreamed of. I could see the establishment wanting to cancel the elections if that's what the elections end up being. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I can do that. But right now they're the other way. But yeah,
well, certainly, and we've talked about this a number of times. If they were to like pass the SAVE Act, what would happen immediately would be a series of court challenges to that, and they would, of course, find federal judges to either allow things to go forward or to stop them in their tracks, depending on the situation. But whatever outcome they wanted, they could achieve that for long enough to push it through. I mean, we're not even 4 months away at this point.
Yeah, it ain't happening. But who knows? We'll see. But let's get through some of this article here. And I'm probably not going to read the entire thing. I'm going to give some top line stuff from each section, I think, unless you have something specific you want to go through.
My first highlight was right below those symbols right there.
Okay, well, let me read that intro right now. So President Trump is trying to use the levers of the federal government along with personal influence over state and local lawmakers to reshape the rules governing the 2026 midterms and future elections in extraordinary ways. This is exactly how they framed and actually built cases against him in 2020. Like the stuff that they persecuted him for was these things. The fake electors case and him trying to use the federal government to interfere in the election. Everything they went after him for. They're doing now. Many of these efforts have been blocked by courts, stymied by the Constitution, or stopped in Congress, but the relentless assault by the president on the electoral process, both administratively and rhetorically, is likely to sow doubt and lay groundwork for extensive challenges to election results. Agencies and officials across the federal government have, at the direction of Mr. Trump, undertaken dozens of actions grounded in novel strategies and aimed at insulating Republicans from potential losses in November. Those actions fall into 6 major categories, and some fall into more than one. And the categories are... Do you want to say something?
It's just incredible that it's taken as a given now that the nation would vote for Democrats. Everything was fair and according to law.
It is kind of funny too, because the left, that's what they present, the establishment, that's what they present, but then everybody on the right thinks the exact opposite. They're like, well, if we have free and fair elections, then we're going to go Republican or vote conservative. They're totally polarized.
But it's important for them to establish, like, and everybody knows about who the popular party is.
Yeah,
they want us to know that everybody knows that the Democrats would win.
I think they mentioned that in the CNN article as well.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be above that for
David Axelrod.
Yeah. So the 6 categories are taking steps to nationalize elections, trying to tighten voting restrictions, pushing for mid-decade redistricting, cutting election security, undermining faith in the electoral system by questioning previous results. And just to note, that is exactly what he got indicted for in a quick mock jury trial thing at Deadwood. And then punishing those who have worked
the following right there. Yeah, the way it talks about the U.S. Constitution. So it says the Constitution puts control over elections in the hands of states and grants Congress the ability to pass federal election legislation. It gives no explicit authority to the executive branch. But in early February, Mr. Trump said he wanted the Republican-led federal government to nationalize, to take over the running of elections. The state is an agent for the federal government in elections, he said. And then it mentions Trump's executive order seeking broad authority over elections in March 2025. The order required documentary proof of citizenship for registered to vote and mandated the return of ballots by election day. Those were almost universally blocked by courts, which found that the order clearly violated the separation of powers and exceeded the president's authority. Okay, so I went back and looked at executive order. And this executive order deals mostly, well, maybe mostly overstating the case, but I don't think so, with the Election Assistance Commission, which is what they call an independent agency that the Congress set up in 2002 after the post-Bush v. Gore and post-9/11, while they're installing the security state, they explicitly want to standardize, and this is something that's happened cyclically throughout our history since 1842. They're trying to create some standards and regularity for the election processes from state to state. So they are centralizing the state's authority over elections and moving it into the federal government. So they set up the Election Assistance Commission. And they say this is bipartisan. There are 4 members on the board. There's 2 on each side. So we don't have to worry, everybody. It's bipartisan. They're like cats and dogs. The only time that anything will ever get passed is when your needs are represented and your needs are represented. So don't worry, this is perfect. Now, last week we talked about the slaughter decision. So the mail-in ballots go against Trump, and the mail-in ballots have to be received by election day, I should say, goes against Trump, but he gets the slaughter decision. And what do we see him do this week? Fire board members on the Election Assistance Commission. So now they can't do anything. They're not going to be able to do their jobs. They're not going to be able to make decisions. This agency shouldn't exist in the first place. Okay? And I commented to one of General Trump's posts on Substack today because he suggested that Seth Keshel run the Election Assistance Commission. And I love Seth Keshel. And he's a great dude. But there shouldn't be an Election Assistance Commission.
What did you say?
And that's basically exactly what I said. I said elections are not rigged or stolen, they're fake. And we need to be focused on this thing and shrinking the federal government. We don't need independent agencies running elections. I'll pause.
I said the same
That's so
thing.
funny.
Yeah.
4 hours ago. I probably said that about the same time.
Yeah, I said Seth is great, but we should be seeking the dissolution of the EAC entirely, not seeking new leadership for it. Leaving any of these corrupt agencies intact, even if it's with different leadership for now, will only allow the possibility for bad guys to get back in later. That's funny.
Nicely done.
Yeah, you should pull up yours, I'm sure.
Well,
what I think is interesting about the EAC, and you're absolutely right about this executive order, it calls on them to establish guidelines for voter ID. It also talks about them holding funds for states that aren't implementing like the right or adapting to the voter ID registry and stuff. And it also talks about them updating their voluntary voting system guidelines to prevent any of these voting systems from using a QR code ballot. And none of this stuff was ever done. They didn't do any of this stuff. They're supposed to re-certify voting systems under new standards. They haven't done anything, as far as I'm concerned. And if you think back to 2020, it was actually in 2022, they came out with a report. Do you remember the CARES Act and all the funds that came with it? And the EAC got $400 million to divvy up to states for COVID stuff to help with the elections. And the EAC spent a majority of that on helping states boost their mail-in ballot voting apparatus all across the country. $1 million. Yeah, the Zuckerbucks. That was a separate thing. This is the EAC using tax dollars to boost the fraud.
I wonder when specifically the mail-in ballot thing, because I feel like there's something going on with the post office actually tracking these, and obviously I'm not breaking news here, Trump has talked about this before, but you know, if you wanted to increase your ability to do that effectively, you might encourage them to, you might say, hey, go ahead, these systems, and then use those systems against them. But so, and I do want to talk about go back to what we were talking about a minute ago. So Trump's executive order, they may not have done everything or even anything in the EAC, which is fine because the EAC shouldn't have any authority. But Trump's executive order was him directing executive branch agencies. And they like to pretend that that's not true, that that's an independent agency doing its work independently. Well, there cannot be independent agencies because it is a violation of separation of powers. You have the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive. And an independent agency does not exist in any one of those. And that's the problem. So Congress sets it up, and they say, well, here's this independent agency under the executive, because they can't have it under the legislature and they can't have it under the judiciary. They can only set it up under the executive. But then they say the executive is not allowed to function. That means that the executive, the chief executive, the chief magistrate of the country, the head of the executive branch, cannot tell his own agencies what they're supposed to be doing. So the president can't set the agenda of the executive. And so, again, these court decisions make it clear that you can't have the situation I just described, and that he actually can get rid of those people. So he directed them to do something. They didn't do it, and now he's gotten rid of them. And he knows that they're not supposed to do anything in the first place. But what the media is trying to obscure the way that they are, or obfuscate, I should say, in their presentation of this, is they're trying to make it seem like Trump doesn't have the authority to do this, and that him directing the EAC or firing members of the EAC is itself election interference. He's just running the executive branch. They're mad that he wants people to work in alignment with his agenda. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. The media freak out over this. It's actually kind of quiet in terms of I guess I haven't seen the left freaking out over Trump's hiring these people. I thought there would be more like freak out. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it exists and I just haven't seen it. But it's kind of flown under the radar, which I think is interesting. But for this to be the first move that Trump makes after the Slaughter decision came down, I think that's very interesting.
That's it right there. Yeah, and I think maybe their work is done sufficiently for what they expect. I think they're probably concerned with the immediate effect on the process for the big midterms, and they're planning on getting them canceled anyway. Of course, they're not going to care that much about the EAC's effect and the fact that board members are fired. And then as long as the agency doesn't go away and sticks around, if there is its power back, they'll just start it right up and use it. But I think we're seeing something much deeper going on from the Trump side. I think I agree that's the interesting part of it.
I wonder if this could get to a situation where the midterm result, or everything is just so like muddy and muggy, if we have that everybody who's been calling us election deniers or whatever ends up being like, well, there's foreign interference. There's no EAC or system protecting our elections anymore. Of course there's interference in these elections. So that'd be an interesting timeline to be on as well. I don't know, I'm just
Man, today was the first day in a while that I was well, the rug is leaking elections.
So we were on the rug that everybody got mad at us for being on ahead of time.
They were going to be canceled.
Yeah, so you were the first one talking about elections being canceled. You were the first one I think to bring it up like a year ago. And we've been talking about it ever since.
Well, Trump said it himself a couple of times. That's like why I actually pay attention.
We'll talk about what it's
Let's go every
to skip through some of it. Trying to tighten voting restrictions. His attempts to use executive orders to change elections are largely blocked by courts. He has issued a lot of executive orders. None of them have been codified by Congress. As we've been saying, you can't expect the people who benefit
Ну и чё тут за хуйня?
to fix the fraudulent elections by codifying Trump's executive orders. Pushing for the mid-decade redistricting, that was an interesting back and forth that took place, 6 months ago. The left was trying to redistrict, and then so we were trying to redistrict, and there was that really like getting into Louisiana's redistricting was too racist or not racist enough or something, I don't remember what it was. And so that got switched, and then that caused a whole other fallout from the redistricting. Everybody's just kind of stopped talking about it.
Yeah, they said I think that racism actually does go.
And then this goes towards like the firing of the EAC people. There might be a little bit of this because I think this is where it could get interesting. Trump administration has gutted key elements of the nation's election security infrastructure. Experts warn that the changes could reduce visibility into nationwide cyber attacks and foreign influence campaigns, while making it more difficult for state and local election officials to coordinate defensive operations. Early in his second term, Mr. Trump signed 2 directives that administration officials have used to justify the dismantling of these programs. The administration has weakened the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, terminated an FBI task force aimed at combating foreign influence in U.S. elections, and ended a program responsible for sharing threat intelligence with state and local officials. And keep in mind, the Center for Internet Security and CrowdStrike coordinate all of the local elections. They provide cybersecurity for all these local elections. Anyway, so that's ridiculous. So he's talking about the intelligence, or this is talking about the intelligence side of things, not the private sector side of things. The actions are rooted in a long-standing grievances from Mr. Trump and his allies who have argued that under the guise of fighting misinformation and disinformation, the Biden administration infringed on free speech. I would take that further and say that they actually participated, or at least turned a blind eye to the election that took place in 2020. In his first budget request to Congress, Mr. Trump proposed eliminating CISA's disinformation offices, accusing them of conspiring against First Amendment rights of President Trump and his supporters. Mr. Trump's attacks on CISA also reflect his animosity towards Christopher Krebs, the agency's former director who oversaw efforts to secure the 2020 election. One of my favorite executive orders from Trump is the one that has to do with Chris Krebs addressing the risks from Chris Krebs government censorship, which is so funny.
Oh man, I'm so glad
it's hilarious. Like I love it when he calls one person out specifically and then putting the Federal Register as the security. I wish I could do that. Addressing the risks and threats of STDs from Scott Pressler and Benny Johnson.
Oh wow.
Undermining faith in the electoral system by questioning previous results. This is hilarious because they got after Trump, they got after us, we got booted off of all platforms because of this. We haven't stopped doing it. But here, Mr. Trump also ordered Tulsi Gabbard, then the director of national intelligence, to help manage an FBI investigation of his baseless claims of voting irregularities in Fulton County, Georgia. The move came after a team led by Ms. Gabbard seized voting machines from Puerto Rico to examine them for vulnerabilities. Even though I'm pretty sure they were asked to do it. Yeah, there's a shout out to Clay Puerto here. Nice. Yeah, I think, and then punishing those who have worked against election denialism. Yes. Yeah, that might be all. Let me just read the closing paragraphs here and then we can go to the CNN article. Well, many of Mr. Trump's directives have been blocked or delayed by the courts. Election experts say that their potential harm remains significant and that some of the efforts have already eroded faith in the process. The point of so much of this campaign is not actually to change policy, because they know they don't actually have the authority to change policy, said Sean Morales Doyle, director of the Brennan Center's Voting Rights and Elections programs. It is to inject distrust and confusion into our elections, both to discourage people from participating and to lay the groundwork for calling elections into question.
You were going from the New York Times article right there, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I would say, as we pull the CNN article up, you can see that what he was just fretting about is exactly what the left side of the establishment is doing right now. And both sides of the Uniparty establishment are freaking out about elections. The Uniparty right wants the SAVE Act passed immediately. They were upset about Spencer Pratt. They're doing these kinds of rallies and whatever. Spencer Pratt actually said something interesting just a couple of days ago. Brian and I talked about it on Daily yesterday. He was actually mentioning the fact that the widely held belief in the potential of fraud in our elections and the fact that we don't trust them is by itself enough to validate the results. That is 100% correct. Yeah, let's just get into the beginning of the scenario. Back to it, I guess. The point is that the things they are saying right now are the things we got censored for saying 5 years ago.
Yep. Isn't that funny? That's a great point. The Democrats warn of a Trump election takeover. What's really happening? Democrats are reaching DEFCON 1 levels of alarm about President Donald Trump's efforts to influence the coming election. All the signals are flashing red against the Democratic strategist and CNN political analyst David Axelrod in the next post. On the square, the GOP would take a beating this fall, largely because of Trump's unpopularity. Axelrod said, so he's setting up a plan B to do whatever you need to do to win. Anyone who says, well, if you wouldn't do that, has to pay attention. Use your imagination, in other words, and don't be surprised at anything Trump does in the 4 months until Election Day. Yep, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she's the one with the hair, what's that, noodle, Ronald, yep, told CNN's John Berman on Friday that people in her overwhelmingly Democratic district are frightened about what might happen in November. For the first time in my whole career, John, I have voters telling me that they're worried that the president's going to cancel elections, that he's going to declare martial law. There are people who have said to me that they're worried that they're not even going to have elections in November. Since she tries to reassure constituents about their moral understanding. I call for it. I don't think there are hardly anybody out there, besides like us here, that have ever talked about canceling elections. They look for Trump elections. So
the comment from Axelrod about how the GOP would take a beating largely as a result of Trump's popularity. The GOP, besides Trump, has done absolutely nothing. The establishment GOP has, at least in an optical sense, in the public consciousness, done nothing to help Trump pass his agenda, to put his agenda into law. They're always like, why don't you codify this for Trump? And they don't do anything now. Just say they can't do anything, and Trump doesn't need their help at all, but that's not the story out there in public. And we're talking about mainstream media is at the lowest point of trustworthiness, according to public sentiment, that they ever have been, and they are still virtually 100% anti-Trump all the time. And even Fox News, New York Post, and these outlets that are supposed to be Trump friendly, you can go even into some of the quote-unquote alt media like David Weimar, The Blaze, and Tucker Carlson and the rest, are still plenty of anti-Trump. There's anti-Trump sentiment coming from all media sources except for like us. And maybe like 8 other guys. I know, it's crazy. So Trump's unpopularity is entirely a result of media, and the GOP lose it because of Trump and not the fact that they've done nothing to help Trump enact the agenda that the country overwhelmingly supported just 2 years ago. That is nonsense.
It is, but they're obviously trying to frame that a different way because the GOP that's in there that's not helping them is part of the Uniparty, and they want to be protected. They want to protect that, and obviously they don't know.
You can see what they do with the controlled opposition dynamic here, what they do with election storytelling, because that's all it is. It is a battle of narratives. They are trying to set a narrative so they can tell the story of the election results that they already have.
We should read this whole article. I think it'd be worth it. It's not that long. So we can look up to here. Republicans already drew themselves an advantage. So it gets back to the New York Times article. Wasserman Schultz is running a congressional district redrawn as part of the GOP's larger effort to adjust maps to their benefit before November. Democrats countered with their own new maps in states including California, but Republicans were more successful in courts and could net as many as 10 seats in November for new maps drawn during the redistricting war, according to CNN's most recent assessment. Do you know, and I didn't look this up, and maybe the machine knows, what did Democrats, did they start the redistricting in California or in those states first, or did we start it in those other states first? Like, who started the redistricting? Because every story I've read, they've said that the Republicans started that war and it was just the Democrats responding. Yeah.
I guess the truth is I don't remember, but I feel like I was hearing Texas first. And I know that Ron was planning on doing it in Florida. Well, I mean, definitely did it in Florida because it says it right here. Wasserman Schultz is running in a congressional district where Ron is part of the GOP's larger effort. Because I
what else is the White House doing to help Republicans in November? In the U.S., states and castles running their own elections, but Axelrod ticked off a litany of actions that the Trump administration has undertaken to influence them. The most recent example is Trump's firing on Thursday of 3 of 4 commissioners on the EAC, an agency Congress set up in 2002 as an independent bipartisan resource to dole out federal money to help states conduct secure elections. It's not the only election-related entity to be hobbled. The Federal Election Commission, which handles campaign finance issues, also elects a quorum of commissioners to operate. The EAC firings are just one piece of evidence Axelrod offered. Provided context to each of his points below. Put that together with political hack Pulte's Otis payment as DNI. Trump temporarily installed Bill Pulte, a wealthy businessman turned housing official, as DNI, while overseeing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who controversially targeted Trump's political opponents with accusations of mortgage fraud. Pulte lacks intelligence experience, but does have deep ties to the GOP. CNN has heard that Trump wants Pulte to focus on election security issues and non-traditional mandates for the spy chiefs. But yeah, they are seemingly more maybe concerned about what Pulte could do in the context of elections than they ever were about Tulsi. Like, she had a couple big major stories, but I don't know, it seems like they're more concerned about Pulte.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Election deniers are the most sensitive oversight positions. An election denier is president, after all, and he has appointed people who share his views of the 2020 election, which he refuses to admit he lost throughout the U.S. government. It is funny, every time you see a Senate confirmation hearing, they always ask, like, what are your thoughts on the 2020 election? And they're always like, well, Joe Biden was inaugurated. But do you think it was stolen? Well, Joe Biden was inaugurated. But they never like actually answer the question.
And good for them.
Yeah. Trump's executive order on mail-in voting and the potential use of postal service as a weapon and subversion. Trump has tried to seize control over mail-in voting from states in some key ways, including by creating a national database of voter registrations. States on the right and the left have fought the effort, however, and the court this month rejected his attempt to order the U.S. Postal Service to only send mail-in ballots in states that had complied. The court battle will continue on multiple fronts for a week. Is this what you're talking about the U.S. Postal Service?
Yes. Yeah, this is one of the answers for sure. Can we go back to the election system? So I went and was digging on where their authority came from. Whenever I do search, I try to find out what the justifications were for initiating this agency in the first place, and then what the congressional authority is for their existence and what they're supposed to be doing. So I ended up back with the elections clause in the Constitution and trying to figure out what the framers actually intended when they said that the Congress could pass legislation on the time, manner, and place of elections in place. And so what they intended to do there was keep the states to run the elections, but they wanted the ability for the federal government to be able to step in if the states were doing something to exert undue influence in the federal government by holding elections, canceling elections, or doing whatever they might with elections that would severely undermine the federal government's ability to exist and to govern. And so, the Election Assistance Commission is then an extension of that. So they've taken a broad understanding about what the elections clause means, and now they have created this federal agency that gives itself, on the basis of the elections clause, the ability to handle the minutia and the centralization of these election policies and processes. And so, with the court case, as I mentioned, and then I'm going to just space on which of the court cases from the last few years was that I think it's Chevron that makes it so Congress can't delegate its decision-making, its rulemaking capabilities to this independent agency, because they're basically exporting their legislative ability and responsibility to the executive branch. So again, we've got a separation of powers problem. And so Trump is basically directing the Election Assistance Commission from his position as executive. Congress gave them the authority to centralize the election and to control the minutia of election processes. And Trump saying, well, this agency is in the executive branch, so therefore, Congress, you have taken your broad understanding of the elections clause in the Constitution, and you have delegated it to me. And because the founders and framers only intended this federal, the insertion of the federal government into the process above and beyond the states, in the instance where the states were doing something untoward that would undermine and subvert the federal government, Trump even has that argument going for it. We talked about the 2 ways you can look at his constitutional operation last week. This would be one of those instances where it's like, okay, the founders and the framers, they intended this for this purpose. Congress took it for a much broader purpose, and then distorted that purpose and broke separation of powers by delegating it to an independent agency. But you see, the thing is, that independent agency is actually under the executive branch, so Congress has delegated its power to me. And I think that chain of events and how he's operating with this is pretty incredible. I mean, this is the funny thing about when people think of black people. I think that this thing and if that is absolutely on a level that is not being discussed in public conversation about our elections at all. And it's actually way more important than whether or not Democrats or Republicans are controlling the Election Assistance Commission, and that's what the conversation is reduced to.
I think you're absolutely right. Has Trump commented about that at all? About him having the authority to do this stuff?
I don't think so, and I don't know that he needs to, and I think there's probably going to be a few steps between now. That's ultimately what we're dealing with here. They have nationalized power over elections and placed it under the control of a few of these different agencies that they call independent but aren't independent at all. And so Trump is seizing back all that power from the executive branch because that's where it's been placed. And so if Congress wants to rescind all that, they're more than welcome to, but I don't think they're going to do that, because what they're hoping they can do is seize back power and then go right back to the system.
Yeah, that's another interesting one is CISA, because for the longest time, everybody, including myself for a period of time, but a lot of people in the community were like, oh, Trump set up CISA. This is how we caught the election theft. And then it turns out CISA is actually one of those agencies that, putting a lot. Trump did sign into law, but that was a loss. Congress created the agency, and they were participating in stealing that election. They were a major part of it, like disturbingly major part of how that election was done, how elections are sold generally. And Trump has slowly dismantled that thing. He called for it dismantling altogether throughout this term. I think you're right. It's an astute observation, I must say.
I hope that I'm right, and I think that there are going to be proofs on that in the future. And if I am, I hope people take that as a signal that there is something much deeper going on here than someone just trying to take down the deep state by sending the FBI out and frog marching these people. Like, that's not what's going on.
It's also bigger than just like, it's also bigger than us winning the midterms with the uniparty candidates that have been placed through the primary system, which has used the fraudulent election system at this point. So, anyway, let's keep going here. I read that one. Did I read this one? The Trump sees